back to the Unleashed. I'm your host, Jared Beeler. I haven't made a video in a couple weeks, and I wanted to give some updates on current events going on here. I wrote down a few notes that I wanted to go over on a bunch of things. I'm kind of in an interesting area here. It's a bit of a park, and so if you see anybody run up and stare in my window, acting dweebish or anything like that, that's why. I'm surrounded by people around here, but I'm going to do my best here to get this out. First thing I want to go over, all right, what the Biden administration just pushed with the jab mandates and stuff like that, with anybody that has a business over 100 people, that they just did last night. From what I didn't watch or anything like that, but I've got all the headlines on it. From what it looks like, it's 75 days until that becomes mandatory. When does that lead up to? Right to Thanksgiving, of course. So that would be just great. You know, families trying to celebrate, and they end up losing their job on Thanksgiving, which is right up there with this satanic organization. But that's if things even make it that far without it exploding completely out of control. It's just unbelievable what's taking place. And I've been watching this whole thing. You guys know where I stand on it. I'm expecting this all to happen and explode this year. But I mean, it's really pushing to the end of the year. And I'm just like, when's this going to blow loose? And I know when it does, it's going to be fast. And so, you know, I mean, stuff can happen so quick, it's unbelievable. So it doesn't have to be taking place exactly right now, but you can see that it's really pushing towards that. There's no way this goes into next year. It's impossible. The way that it is right now, we're going to be on a front in so many different levels, on a battleground. It's just unbelievable. It's everywhere. I'm surprised we haven't had like a civil war yet break loose. They're pitting us against each other like big time. And I mean, the ground placement for that is just taking place the whole time, with the Trump administration and everything like that, creating the divide that we have, and you know, just pushing a division in every single way. And of course, the bad guys know that you know, the more you're divided, the easier it is to conquer. But the whole 100 or less, or 100 or more people in a business, that'll never end. Once they do that, then it'll be 50, and then it'll be 20 or anything else, and it's never going to stop. It never was designed to stop, nor does it have anything to do with any variants or anything like that. They want everybody jabbed, and that's what they've planned the whole time, just like I talked about. All right, doorsteps leading up to the tribulation I did last November that we're leading into a year ago. I mean, I took the notes on everything like that. Partake in COVID-21 vaccination schedule, which provides the individual with unrestricted travel and living under a full lockdown, i.e. don't have social distance and don't have to wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I got all the notes here. This was out of Canada. You know, I did that video. Go back and listen. It's like 20 minutes long, and it has all the different procedures, but they're literally falling into that. I mean, step by step, and it's been going. And it might not be exactly on the schedule that they originally had, but that's what it's going towards. Isolation camps, losing all your assets, you being robbed everything, going to the IMF, and as you get put into a camp for not taking it. And I mean, just totally locking down the whole world, and that's what they're doing. Every country's in it. They want to have a whole reset. They want to do away with the currency that we have. Everything's going to go digital, and it's all lining up for it in every single way, and they're pushing it. It hasn't stopped. It's not going to stop. It'll never stop until this whole thing's over, and God cleans house. But until then, I mean, it's not going to get any better. We're watching it literally go. So if you ever had any doubts or anything like that, or thought, oh, maybe times can continue on, or it's not continuing on. We're literally heading in that direction, and that's exactly where it's going to go. The whole thing in Afghanistan, I've heard that just recently that they were already marking the houses that had Christians in them in Afghanistan when things were still safe and people could travel around. They were marking them before the troop pullout, so they'd know exactly where to go to kill them, hunt them down, and burn them alive and everything else. It was totally organized through the administration that we have, and they're absolutely satanic and pure evil, like I've said the whole time, you know, and most of you know. But it's absolutely horrific what they've planned and what they're doing, and, you know, it's only a matter of time with the horrific stuff that America is partaking in, being Satanists up at the top, you know, that it's going to go before the whole thing doesn't just get absolutely destroyed. And I mean, like the Bible says, in 1 hour it goes fast, and they can see the smoke rising from it. Speaking of which, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the whole Yellowstone thing, as it's been upticking in the volcano and swelling. All right, this whole summer I've been watching and keeping track of it, but it's up in the 3s now in magnitude on earthquakes right in the center, the epicenter of this thing, and it doesn't surprise me at all. I totally expect that during the tribulation, possibly before it, to pop its top. I also think that'll coincide with them seeing smoke in the distance in Babylon when it's destroyed, being America. But it's very interesting. Just recently on Fig Tree Ministry, I saw that he had a dream, and it was two volcanoes that went off. He couldn't tell where they were exactly, but if I was going to guess, I'd say one was Yellowstone, and the other would have been over in the Madrid fault. Right? There's been plenty of visions now that the U.S. gets unzipped, going up from the Madrid Fault up to the Great Lakes down to Louisiana, and separates, and there's a huge river and stuff there. He saw two volcanoes erupting in one of his visions that he just had recently, and that's interesting because they now for over a month have been having an uptick in earthquakes and stuff that's been going on there. I just heard a couple interesting things today on a channel, and it's been wanting to rip open there for years, it sounds like, but there was stories of Davy Crockett, I guess, chasing a bear into an opening, but there used to be so much earthquakes and stuff in the Madrid Fault that they'd lay down like logs and stuff because people would the ground would open up and people would fall in it, and they laid logs down so that they could jump on them if they had to, and it would save them from falling into the crevasses and stuff that would open up. It sounds like that thing has a history of unzipping, and when it does, it's just like the visions that people have seen, and it basically creates a huge river all the way from Michigan down to the bottom and divides America in half, which also coincides with the flipping two-state solutions that we keep trying to present to Israel through the Biden administration and everything else. I mean, they're literally setting it up for their destruction. When people do that, when they try to divide Israel, God doesn't mess around. He totally does that. And why hasn't it happened yet in America? I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. We're like the bad guy in the movie. You know, there's a bunch of bad guys, and they're all getting the crap beat down by the good guy. But the real bad guy, it just keeps building and building as you build the intensity, so you finally get to release at the end of the movie when Steven Skull, for instance, or somebody gets a hold of them and just breaks them everywhere. And that's literally what I kind of expect to happen to America when it gets destroyed. It's just absolutely, utterly annihilated. And every vision that there's been about it that lines up with America and stuff like that, that's exactly what it looks like. It's not going to be pretty at all. Another thing that's interesting, in the Madrid Fault, which would coincide with that vision that Fig Tree Ministry had about the two volcanoes, there is an ancient volcano there that's called Hicks Dome, and it's literally right in the Madrid Fault, I think somewhere around Missouri or something like that. So that would just be something if that was part of the earthquake. There was another super volcano that was hidden there, lying dormant, and almost looks like lava uptake has been happening over there too. So I mean, I'm literally just watching this stuff like it's getting faster and faster before the whole thing just explodes and goes off. And I mean that in the direction of like the whole end time scene that we're watching take play right now as it's getting closer and closer. I'm along for the ride too. I was told that it would happen this year. You guys know the story exactly. I'm watching. I was thinking it was going to possibly happen in spring. It's gone past that. We keep pushing down towards the end. When? I have no idea. I'm just along watching this thing. I just know what I was told, what I was shown, what the confirmation I was given on the spot, and that's what it was. That it was most definitely going to happen this year. Speaking of the rapture and the tribulation and stuff like that starting. So I just watch and I wait, and I'm keeping an eye on everything that's taking place. About a week ago, I had another UFO dream. I don't know what's up with the UFO dreams with me lately. And this one, it might have had something to do with what I was watching the night before. I was watching some YouTube videos on people that had seen UFOs as well that line up with end time stuff. But just as before, I was in New York again. I was in a skyscraper, and a UFO, a big one, came over. But this time, I was actually in the city, not on the outside looking out, but I was in the inside, and it came over. And I said something. I was in an office building or something like that, and I was talking to a secretary, and I said, "Oh, here we go," just like I've been talking about the whole time, and they didn't believe me. So it's like, "You don't believe me?" I'm like, "I'll show you. I've only been talking about it for for like years. So I went to show my YouTube videos or whatever back when I was talking about aliens and some of the other stuff, you know, and how they're going to show up and it's going to be part of the end. And all my videos in the dream were deleted, all the old ones. And I thought that was kind of interesting. That's exactly what's going to happen eventually, you know. They're going to shut down any sources of information or anything like that. That's why I say if you think it'll help or anything like that, always record stuff, save it on USB drives if you're going to be leaving it for somebody else or anything like that. Totally do it, you know. But getting a hold of information, it's going to be tough. And there's that verse in scripture, you know, that says that in the end times people will be wandering around searching for information, real knowledge on like God and stuff. They won't be able to find it. It'll be so scarce. It'll be hard, but they'll crave it. And where they laughed and mocked at it before, they'll want to hear it more than anything, and then they won't be able to. So yeah, it's crazy. But anyways, yesterday, Matrix, the new Matrix 4 trailer dropped. It's coming out in December or whatever. It was supposed to come out like a couple years ago, but anyways, I find the title of it interesting, Resurrections. Did they pick that on purpose? Does it go along with the movie? You know what? You guys know how Hollywood works and stuff like that, and the Illuminati, the fourth tenet, how they always put stuff out in movies and stuff like that, how we're getting close to the resurrection event. It's going to be the rapture and people coming back to life. So for them to call that Resurrections, I mean, it's it fits it pretty good. I thought that was interesting though. But these earthquakes and stuff that are all over the place are getting bigger, as you guys can see, and it really just lines up with the whole Nibiru system that I keep expecting to show its face here soon enough. That will be the trumpets. It really was a thing that happened. It was a part of the flood, and all the battle action you see from the northern crust of Mars being blown off, including the asteroid belt, and authentic battle damage all over the moon from crater impacts, including craters and stuff like that happened on Earth and everywhere else. There was a huge body and solar system that went through here about 4,000 years ago at the same time of Noah, and unzipped the planet and allowed all that water and stuff to come out where we have the flood, and filled up the Mediterranean and the Black Sea more and stuff like that. There's ancient cities, over 200 cities and stuff like that under the Mediterranean. They're covered by 3 miles of ocean water. So it happened very, very fast, and that thing is going to be coming back through. It's always hard to get information on that. It's always a resource from another, or a hearsay or something like that. But some time ago, some years back, I did get to listen to a first-person account of a guy that worked at NASA, I believe it was, and he watched it hands-on, and they had eyes on it 50 years ago, and they were told that it would show up. They didn't know exactly when, but they knew it would be in about 50 years, and it really was going to happen. They've kept it a secret the whole time, and they are just going to allow it to show up one time, and whether the chemtrails and stuff are part of that to help block the sky so you can't see it as clearly, I don't know, because I don't know its exact location right now. But I do know that guy was telling the truth. That is my gifts, my abilities, and like I say, it's hard to get any actual information from a first-hand source, but that was one of them, and there was no lying. The guy's telling the truth. It really is coming, and I know that it is because of the damage on the planets and stuff that we have and how the flood took place and stuff. There is something that's coming back through, and it is in an orbital system, and it is going to be what trumpets seals. I think that earthquake that happens at the sixth seal is all part of it too when it starts getting closer, but it's all lining up with that, and and you can see the proximity as the volcanoes and the earthquakes and the higher the number and stuff they get going, and the magma that's flowing under the crust and stuff like that, it has a pull on it, and it's able to start causing earthquakes and volcanoes to take place. So yeah, pretty crazy, but I mean, just knowing that and seeing the numbers, how they're getting bigger and bigger, you can see how this thing is getting closer and closer, and it's how it's starting to take place, and it's all lined up for the way that it looks like the tribulation is just about to start. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, seriously, anytime this thing could go. I don't know. I'm just watching like you guys are. But with the people, the refugees and stuff like that have got to get out of Afghanistan, a lot of them being children. I heard yesterday that they're taking them to a few different camps and stuff like that, one in Chicago and another over possibly in New York. I can't remember. I just remember the one being Chicago, and the dangers of possibly them getting into sex trafficking and stuff. Betrayal, I've said it before, is one of the nastiest things you can possibly do. There's nothing more evil than betraying somebody. It's Satan's MO. But sex trafficking, that ranks up there even higher. For somebody to have so much ego in themselves, so little caring to anybody else that they could literally sell a human being or a child or something like that out to be sex trafficked or something like that is absolutely horrific on a scale that I can't even imagine. And to me personally, I had to get my mind wrapped around what I was going to be doing before I went to war, and why it was justified to take a life. I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I think that people need a chance, and I'm totally into giving a chance if there's any redeeming quality or something like that. But if somebody has made up in their mind that their intent is to kill, maim, rape, and destroy their entire life, no matter what, no matter how many chances it's there, you take their life. They mean nothing anymore, all right? And when you do, I sleep easy every single time. Nothing is easier than taking out a absolute pure filth bad guy. I feel the same way about sex traffickers. If they could do that to another human being or anything like that, take them out. There is no room for mercy in that. And that's personally how I feel. It absolutely disgusts me. I can't stand it. And I feel terrible. I pray for the children all over the world every day. And I can't wait for God to come back and rescue them out of there. And for us to be able to clean house finally. And make this a decent place to live, because it's never going to be that way until Jesus Christ is ruling, and until then, it's there's always going to be evil, and I can't stand it. I want evil completely vanquished. It drives me nuts, but I don't know what's going to happen with the kids and stuff like that. The underground church is in some serious trouble in Afghanistan, and it's only building up more. Like I say, I think the Biden administration also has kept contact with the Christians, and they know the phone numbers when Americans call into these underground groups. And I personally think that they're giving those locations through tracking to the Taliban so they can find them easier. So like Christians here in America are keeping track or whatever and keeping it isolated, they might actually be leading the administration who can track the phone calls and whereabouts and stuff like that to help the Taliban find them. You might be doing more harm than good. But, I'm praying that God keeps them in isolation and hidden from the enemy until he can get us out of here. And it's going to happen soon. I know that it is. He's just taking it all the way to the last second, and that's how. That's how he does it a lot of the time. You think that it's not going to happen. You're down right up to the wall in the end, and then he shows up, and I have a feeling that that's what he's going to do. Just a little side note, back in late June, I was talking to God, and I was walking through the woods, and he'd already told me, back in May that it was this year, but I was like, God, how soon are we talking about it? I'm looking at all kinds of different things, and I'm like, man, it's past the spring already. I'm like, is there a time? When? How close are we? When is this? And I looked over at a tree, a little one, and right inside its bark, I don't know, it just caught my eye, was a tin. And I've looked at it every time I walk by there, and the closer you get, because I wanted to take a picture, it disappears. It doesn't exist. Only back at a certain distance on the trail when you look at it. It looks like a 10 has grown, the number has grown into this little pine tree. I've looked at it the whole time. I'm like, was that an answer? And, I like look up the number 10, which means destruction. And, is it 10 days from now? Is it significant with the 10th of July? What is it exactly, Hopefully, in the back of my mind the whole time, I'm going, please don't mean 10 is in the month that we get out of here. That's way too far from now, right? But in the back of my mind, I have not forgot that as we get closer and closer to the 10th month, being October and stuff. So, I don't know. And I don't know if that's any significance at all. It's just kind of an interesting story of something that happened to me. So, oh man, what else do I want to talk about? Israel. Okay, I've been watching this whole thing and with the jab and stuff like that, and they're big time pushing it right now. While there's other groups over there pointing out, hey, actually this isn't doing anything. All the Delta variants stuff like that are coming from people that did take it and that are in the hospitals. And I've been watching because God promised that in Zechariah that he would bring 1/3 of them through the tribulation. And I know that when you get it, you're screwed. All right? I can't stand all these posts and stuff like that. Oh, it's okay if you want to get it and I don't want to get it. No, it's not okay. If you get it, you're going to croak. All right? It's the worst thing possible. It's not all right. Talk everybody that you love and care about out of the whole situation, okay? But he promises he's going to bring 1/3 through, and there's like about 7 million Jews in Israel. But as I looked at this, it was like a map or whatever of the top 10 places in the world. There's about 6 million here in America, as well as other places over the world. There are more around the world than there is in Israel, and it is still totally possible, all right, to bring that 1/3 through. and they're gonna be saved and everything like that. But I think when the stuff breaks loose, World War III and all this stuff, that they're gonna be invited to come home and they're gonna go back to their land, especially after Babylon, aka America, gets destroyed. And this will equal that 1/3 when it comes through. God's got the numbers wherever they are, how far they are scattered. It doesn't matter. He knows, but He's gonna bring them. He's gonna bring them home, and then give them that security that goes through. So even though they're past the numbers, because in Israel they've already got about 2/3 that are jabbed, it doesn't matter. Even if more and more got them, there's still enough people that it'll bring through. And when you put all those numbers together of those saved, you'll definitely have your 1/3. So that's kind of encouraging. And I figured something like that would happen, but I just didn't realize quite how many Jews were out around the world and had been separated and stuff like that. So that's kind of interesting. It's something I wanted to talk about. I think I covered basically all the stuff that I want to say. I kind of wrote down a few notes here that I'm going over. It's like I say, it's really disturbing. The whole thing, the whole Afghanistan pullout, what they're doing, why they want to get people out of there, how they're giving it over to the Taliban. This is only going to help China and Russia, and the whole Magog attack into Israel. It's all part of pre-planning, as well as the stuff that they're doing in America. The bad guys know the same way as the two-front solution or whatever, and what they're doing, and how when you start to cause spiritual division in one place, it can cause a physical reaction in another. And they're opening up the door literally for America to be attacked. It's absolutely terrible, but at the same time, this stuff, it does have to take place. More elites, another thing that I've just recently heard, are more and more of them are getting their houses in order in New Zealand and other places around the world with their underground bunkers and stuff. More of them are hitting the road, and we know that's because they know this stuff's getting close. Don't forget, back in 2019 or 18, I think Obama had that meeting down there in New Zealand, and they told him, his little group, if you stay with me, you'll be safe, but there's a planet system coming through. We know it's a Nibiru system and stuff like that. It's going to pelt the Earth with tons of asteroids, and be the end of the days and part of all their 2030 agenda when it takes place. But they'd be safe with him when they go to their underground bunkers, of course, fulfilling the sixth seal in Revelation, how they flee into the caves when they realize, the end of days is showing up, and that planet system comes through, because that's going to be a wake-up call like you can't possibly believe. But all that stuff, it just keeps getting closer and closer into play, but I don't think it's going to go slow forever, and it has gone slower than my taste. I've been so ready to get out of here. It's unbelievable. But it's going to take off. It's going to take off explosively and very, very soon. And like I say, I was told it's this year, so it needs to be taking off explosively very, very soon. I said that if this is going to line up in the Daniel timeline, and just as an estimated guess, we're looking anywhere from the 27th, 28th of October to around the 12th, 11th or 12th of November, just as like kind of a little guess timeline. So finding this the whole Department of Homeland Security watching out for terrorists and stuff like that, and marking people that I've already talked about before, all the way up to November 11th. That's very interesting timing, because that coincides with that, as well as the 75 days leading up to Thanksgiving, for people to be jabbed at their workplace and stuff like that, which is going to cause more economic crash and crisis. And it's all just taking place more and more. You won't be able to fly. I just heard that in Honolulu and stuff like that, you can't fly in without your passports and stuff. Nothing's going back to the way that it was before. So if you've ever thought that it was, you got to get that out of your head. It's not. It's over. We are actually going into it. You're watching the end of days. You're going to take part in it. You are a part of it. The only thing that we do now is we watch and wait and try to continue to hold the line. For those that are doing that, oh my gosh, it's getting bad. We aren't even on a path anymore. We are single filed. There is no room on the path, and it's the edge of a knife. Literally, the tests are brutal. Everything's brutal. Everything's coming in. So all we can do is pray for one another and try to hold on as best as we can. Most of us aren't the only family member. For those that aren't, that have a couple family members or whatever that are saved as well, count your blessings, because most of us aren't. We're down to the only individual out of the household that's actually saved, and the others aren't, or they've fallen away, or they've taken that, or whatever else. They've been wishy-washy, or slipped away, or found something else in the world, or anything like that. And you're all alone, and the only people that you get to talk to are on like platforms like this and stuff, and that's tough. And is all I can say is hang in there. You might be separate from us, but you're not alone, and we're all going to be reunited in heaven here real soon, and it's going to be incredible, and you're going to have a real family, a real cohesion up there, and that's going to be so awesome, and all this fight's going to be worth it. But it's really tough. What you're doing right now, being the only family members, you're also setting the example for the rest of them so they can follow what it looked like to be a real Christian, what it looked like to stay and hold that line and do what you're supposed to and everything like that. And I understand the tests are so tough right now. It's absolutely brutal. I want to give you guys a little bit of encouragement. When I was having that conversation on May 13th and I told me that it was about time, we talked about a lot of different things, but he said something very cool, I thought, and it was very, very coaching and encouraging. And I told him, I was like, well, you're like the best teacher ever. You're not like harping on me. You're not being a jerk or anything like that. And it was really awesome. But he told me, while I'm going through my test, trying to give up sins and other things like that, including this last one that I've got and that I'm working on for so long and everything like that, just as well as you guys have other tests of your own. He told me that just like your tests in the past where you look back and they're gone now, they're history from where you used to be before, the tests you're going through right now that some of you may be going through and thinking, man, I wish I could get this cleaned up. What if he doesn't take me home or anything like that? He told me something very cool, and he said that while you're working on it, fighting the good fight every single day, then in 2 years or so from now, just like your ones in the past, they would be gone. They would be something in the past as well. So while you're working on it, because the rapture stands outside of time, and he said that because it stands out of time, like you know, he's like, when I come back for you, because you're trying, because you're fighting the good fight, repenting when you get knocked down and everything like that, and you get back up and you're fighting it, it will be counted as already completed. You already fulfilled that end. It's no longer a sin. All right? So those that are struggling with different things, maybe it's pot, maybe it's porn, maybe it's alcohol, or anything else, whatever it is that you have, you know, I tell you to give up the things that you can. If like, let's say, porn's easy for you to get up, but you have a struggle smoking pot, give up the porn and then fight the good fight, giving up the pot, or vice versa. All right, you do that and you just fight it. Okay, you just fight it, and when you mess up, you get back up, you ask for repentance, and you keep doing it. But because you're fighting, because you're not wishy-washy, you're saying no, it's once saved, always saved, that will be counted as actually being completed, and it gets overlooked. So that's something very exciting, encouraging, especially for those that are wishing they could give up that one last sin. All right, it doesn't mean you stop trying or anything like that. It means just continue to try, continue to repent, and where it would be done in a couple years or a year from now or 6 months or whenever it would be, and it would be something in the past, since it's something you're particularly working on right now, just keep fighting, repenting, get back up, keep fighting, learning new things, practicing, learning from your mistakes, and that gets counted as actually something that has been overcome. So that's something really cool and encouraging. And when he told me that, I thought it was super awesome. I'm like, wow, that is so cool. I'm like, man, you're like the best coach ever. It was really cool. Just totally incredible conversation, only to, you know, the cherry on top that he said that the rapture was most definitely this year. So that's all I've done is share all that, and like I say, I got the confirmation that my brother got one too, and it was legit. It was right on the spot. I have no choice but to believe that and follow that 100%. So a little bit of encouragement, okay, along with the stuff. Tomorrow's 9/11. I'm going to get this video out. Who knows what could happen? This whole thing could just start unraveling like instantly between each video, you know, but I've been watching it and just kind of been taking note of everything, keeping up on all the information. It's been going a little bit slow right now, but I know it's going to pick up, especially once we get closer to winter. They want to do more drastic stuff then, because then it's harder for people to move out and to live out in the wilderness, and of course that's going to hurt more people's lives and stuff like that. But they're planning their diabolical schemes still. They continue to, but we're watching and we're waiting and we're praying, you know, and fasting, a lot of us, for the return of the Lord, and I truly believe that it's going to be very, very soon. So hang in there, don't give up. Hopefully this message has a little bit of encouragement, also with the news and stuff like that. You guys hang in there, all right? And like I say, for those of you that are your only single family member that's looking for the Lord, you're going to be a great example to them, all right? They're going to be able to see that, and that's going to be what helps win them over later on, when the tribulation starts and they're forced to go into it, okay? So you hang in there and you don't give up. I know it's difficult, it really is, and we are totally in a single file line on a path that's a razor's edge. It really is difficult right now. I know it really is, and I've been going through my own trials and stuff like that too. Guys, keep me in prayer, because it's not always easy. It's really not. It's just as easy for me to mess up on things as anybody else. So, I mean, like I say, we just keep getting back up, repent, and stay as close to God as we possibly can, all right? But you guys hang in there, all right? And I'll talk to you next time on the leashing, or I'll see you in the air. Something's going to happen real soon, and just keep looking up. God bless. Bye.